So we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue doing some word problems. This one is geared more towards second grade, probably the beginning of second grade. We're going to do a word problem that uses RIDD. Once again, the research-based problem-solving structure. So what is RIDD? Let's find out. Our first step is to read. And we'll go into that deeper because we're going to spend quite some time in that stage. Second step, imagine. This is a chance where students can draw a quick sketch of what the problem makes them think about or what movie is playing in their head when they're reading this word problem. Then you decide, is this a one-step problem, two-step problem, and so on and so forth. Mostly at this time with second graders, they're just doing one-step problems, but towards the end of second grade, they will do multi-step problems. They will be staying in the area of addition and subtraction. They might have some problems that require multiplication, but they're learning multiplication as repeated addition. And then you would actually do the problem using multiple strategies. It's very important that second graders are encouraged to use multiple strategies when solving word problems. And finally, we want our students to question, is my answer reasonable? So for example, if it is a subtraction problem and students come up with an answer that is larger than the start or the total, then we know that they must have used the wrong operation. Or sometimes we see students combine addition and subtraction just because they're learning how to use the grouping and ungrouping. So here's our problem. So we are going to read the problem 2 times. We want to read the problem 2 times because the first time allows us to do any decoding that we might need to do. And then the second time, we're really reading it to understand. Some students are playing on the playground. 23 more students come out to play on the playground. Now there are 70 students on the playground. How many students were on the playground to start with? So now I'm going to read it a little bit slower and we're going to really think through this. Some students are on the playground. 23 more students come out to play on the playground. Now there are 70 students on the playground. How many students were on the playground to start with? My 4th grade son just walked over to me and whispered that he already knows the answer, and I'm sure he does. He has a very strong number sense, but we are still gonna, when we get through this, we're gonna still step through the process. All right, so the problem again, the first thing we want to identify is what happened in the beginning of the story. So take a moment, what happened in the beginning of the story? If you said some students were on the playground, you are exactly right. Give yourself a pat on the back. The second thing we want to do is what happened in the middle of the story. And for students, this should sound very similar to when you're actually doing a reading. If you said 23 more students came out to play and now there are 70 students, you're exactly right. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Finally, we're going to ask ourselves, what is the question asking us at the end of the story? And if you said how many students were on the playground to start, you're exactly correct. So you have just done the R for read. Our second step is to imagine. This is where students draw a picture of what they imagine. So whatever movie is happening in their head, they want to do a quick sketch. Right now, I'm not concerned about the numbers. I just want to know what this might look like. I'm going to read the problem again. As I'm reading the problem again, do a sketch of what you are imagining in your head. Some students are on the playground. 23 more students come out to play on the playground. Now there are 70 students on the playground. How many students were on the playground to start with? If you need more time to do your sketch, go ahead and pause the video here. I'm going to keep moving with our lesson. So decide. Time to make a decision. What operation are you going to use? I'm going to tell you your choices are going to be addition or subtraction. Is this a one-step problem, a two-step problem? What strategy do I know that is most efficient? So think for a moment. What do you think? Is it a one-step problem, meaning are we going to do one thing with the numbers, or are we going to do multiple operations with the numbers? What might you do? Are you going to add, or are you going to subtract? If you need more time in this part, go ahead and pause the video and make a decision of what you're going to do when it's time to solve. Finally, we're going to, well, not exactly finally, but finally, we're going to actually do the problem. It's time to solve. Be sure to show your work. Does your answer make sense? Did you solve another way to be sure your answer is correct? So I'm going to go back a slide for you so you can see the problem again. For the do part, some students are on the playground. 23 more students come out to play on the playground. Now there are 70 students on the playground. How many students were on the playground to start with? If you need more time, you may pause the video and continue working.